Congresswoman, how are you? I see that you have your arm in a sling. I've seen the photos.
Yeah.
We pray for you and hope that you are okay. Can you please explain what happened?
Yeah, no, I'm on the mend and I will be fine. But it's jarring. I mean, this guy, literally like 3 times my size. I saw his mugshot and it said he was only 225, and I'm like, no way, he's only two. I'm 112 pounds and almost 5'6". There's no way he was only twice my size. And this guy came in for what I thought was going to be a friendly handshake, and I know the difference between a passionate handshake and a violent one. And here I sit here today with an injury from it. And so he can F right off on this, and they all can. I mean, these leftists, they're lunatics, and they victim shame. They're saying, oh, it never happened. And this was just a gentle, run-of-the-mill, gentle, normal handshake, with the quotations around it. And these people are sick. And they hate women, and they hate strong women, intelligent women, and women that aren't putting up with their bullshit. And I'm right here for it. And, there's nothing they can do or say that will stop me.
So an activist assaulted you in the halls of Congress. They also said Jamal Bowman didn't pull the fire alarm until we released videos of that.
Exactly.
So an activist assaulted you in the halls of Congress for defending women and women's rights.
Absolutely. And they're saying all these witnesses now saw this. And I'm like, no, there were only 2 people standing next to me, and one of them works for me. And both of them confirmed my version of what happened. And so, they'll do anything. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they will do anything to control the narrative. And I have a warning for any media outlet that says I wrongly, falsely accused this guy of physically accosting me, of assaulting me. That is defamation. And so I would be walking on eggshells if I were you.
So I want to zoom out here because we've seen how violent the left is, and we've watched some of the protests outside of your office, and we've seen obviously the threats and the psychotic ragings, and we've covered them ourselves when we were Capitol Hill reporters way back in the day.
Yeah.
This is a movement of extreme violence, and they are proud of their violence. You see this in the canonization of the murderer of the United Healthcare CEO. The left is rushing to make this person a hero for murder. It's just like another digit in the ledger to say, like, wait a second, these people are pagans. Like, they are truly fascistic in their politics.
It's evil. It's demonic. I mean, this is a fight. This is a battle between good and evil. And I said yesterday, I was like, LGBs need to divorce the T's. It has nothing to do with one another. We need to bring them into the Republican Party. And we say we're going to protect women and kids because this is ridiculous. It's outrageous. And my rights don't end where their feelings begin.
So I want to ask, like, do you have extra security? Do you feel like the Capitol Police were there to help? The reason I don't want to be a doomer here, but the more they lose, the more psychotic and desperate they're going to become.
Yeah.
And I fear for good members of Congress.
Yeah, my family's worried that it'll happen again and it'll be worse. So members of Congress, unless you're in top leadership, you don't get a detail. You don't have Capitol Police or your state law enforcement presence. Now, I do have security at public events. We've increased our security, but now I don't feel safe going anywhere alone. I just, I'm looking over my shoulder. What happened was jarring. Like, I tried to remove my hand from this guy's grip, and he doubled down on it and tightened his grip and wouldn't let go. And so, I don't feel safe. And so now I don't feel like I can go anywhere, literally anywhere alone these days.
I fear that this is the result of weakness. And as somebody who has a very long knowledge of history and can remember back to the year 2017, I'm not sure if you were in Congress at the time. I was not. Okay, so 2017, but this is something that should have really caused a sea change and should have caused the men in Congress to stand up and protect our movement, which was a deranged leftist gunman opened fire on Republicans practicing baseball. And this guy, I went through his social media. He was a psychopath. He was totally radicalized by MSNBC, by CNN. His entire page was filled with visceral Trump Republican hatred. And he walked up and he said, his name's James T. Hodgkinson is his name. And like, nobody knows what that name is. This guy committed like the greatest act of terrorism against Congress in modern history.
Yeah.
And nobody knows who he is. And in fact, Paul Ryan at the time stood there and saying kumbaya with Nancy Pelosi when there should have been a reckoning about left-wing violence at that time. And like this is then what we allow because of weakness. It's like it's weakness on our end, side.
And it'll happen more and more. In fact, Steve Scalise was one of the first people to reach out to me and ask me if I was doing okay Tuesday night. And I said, Steve, I'm going to be fine. I mean, well, I have not endured what others have endured like you, and being shot by these lunatics. I mean, we need to call it like we see it. Yeah. And the only way that you can get back at someone who's bullying you is to figuratively punch them in the face, not take any heat, don't take any of their bullshit, and call them out for what they are. And that's why I'm being attacked. That's why I'm getting threats. That's why my employees are being threatened. And that's why I have to take greater safety precautions, because these people, as a minority, 1/2 of 1%, they are organized, but they're dangerous. They're very dangerous.
They're very dangerous. Now there's, we're going to use every bit of, and every moment and every bit of energy and inertia on this program to make the Donald Trump memorial, the Donald Trump statue, right, for the assassination survival. We think that's needed in Washington D.C. and we want to mint that, but there's so much we don't know. It's crazy how often we are lied to about left-wing violence.
Yep.
And it's time for the country to have a reckoning. There were 4 assassination attempts on Donald Trump this election cycle.
Yep.
If that had happened to Barack Obama or Joe Biden, they would have already built the statue, right? Joe Biden would have been permanently in office. Yep. And so, as somebody who's been a truth seeker, and you did such a great job with Kim Cheadle at Secret Service when you questioned her, as somebody who's asked a lot of tough questions about UAPs and UFOs, there seems to be like this massive cover-up that's going on, or at least that something doesn't make sense about what's happening in the skies above New Jersey. I don't know if you've been watching this or covering it, but before we go, I have to get to it. Do you know anything about this? Is the government being forthcoming about what's going on?
We have not yet been briefed on what's going on over New Jersey. I mean, so the fact that members of Congress, members of the House Armed Services Committee and Oversight Committee, we have some issues here. And in fact, I've been in the middle of drafting a bill for weeks now. Why can't we shut down our skies when this is happening? Why can't we capture one of these drones? Why don't we know who this is? Is it Iran? The rumor we're hearing is it's Iran. My first assumption was China. Why can't we shoot it down and figure out what information they're collecting on U.S. military and nuclear assets? We should be able to do that. We're the greatest fighting force in the world, and we look weak as anything on the world stage when we just let this go on without consequence. And I do want to say something about the statues before we wrap up today too, Benny. I saw that Time magazine cover today, and I need that cover framed. I need it signed. Like, I need air in my lungs. This is the strongest president in American history. He'll get to the bottom of all of this, and we can't thank him fast enough, and he can't get sworn in fast enough. I'm waiting on pins and needles for this guy to show true leadership to America and the world, because we're all going to be safer for it.
So I know that a final question here. My team's telling us we're up against a hard out, but I just got to ask, because you have been one of those people on the dais asking questions about UFOs and UAPs, and you've been in the hearings and you've been in the classified hearings. What do you think is going on in the skies above American states and sovereign American airspace?
I do believe that the government and certain agencies aren't forthcoming with information. They've overclassified information, even the explainable UAPs. But what I did learn in this SCIF, and I'm being very careful with my words here, they explained a lot of the objects we've seen in some leaked videos and content and photos, etc. But there are 2 very consistent shapes that are consistently unexplained. And I won't describe those shapes until we've got permission to talk about it. But there are 2 very specific shapes that are consistently unexplained in our skies. And I find that interesting. I find it fascinating. And I would like to have more information, and I would like more disclosure for things that are explained and how the government got to the bottom of that through their technology or infrared, radar and technology, sonar technology, et cetera. Explain how they figured it out and show some examples, but also come forward and show what's unexplained, so that we can be more, in terms of members of Congress and just people that are seeing these things in the skies, know what to look for, and then how to report it. How can everyday Americans report something that looks strange or a national security threat in our skies or in our waters, et cetera?
Yes. I mean, of course, we're reminded that the government didn't tell us anything about the Chinese weather balloon.
Right.
And it had to be somebody with their telescopic lens had to show the country that it was the Chinese. Well, that there was a weather balloon. Yeah, right. It was not a weather balloon, but like
exactly. And the government, the Biden and Harris administration, let that balloon traverse the entire United States from west coast to east until it was shot down off the coast of my great state of South Carolina. The entire country.
Sure, correct. And so these things are flying over Trump's again. I don't want to go long here, but they're flying over Trump's house. He lives half the year in Bedminster. So these things are flying over Trump's house and military bases, and there doesn't seem to be any urgency to explain what's going on. Like, are we a real country? Right? Like,
and also from a national security perspective, how are we updating our technology or AI or machine learning or algorithms, et cetera, to make sure we identify these objects with greater frequency, sooner, faster, better, more?
Yes. Okay, well, I'm glad to see that at least somebody's taking it seriously. You know, the Chinese or Iranian mothership that they're all launching from out in the ocean. Like, what's going on? What's going on, Congresswoman? Please come back on the show and tell us when you learn something.
Anytime. Anything for you, Benny.
All right. Well, Godspeed, Congresswoman.
Thank you.